You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Will you state your first name and spell your last name?
Christopher, C-H-I-T.
Make sure you answer loudly and clearly.
May it please the court, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you is Mr. Christopher White III. He is here on case numbers 2024 GS 450005, 2024 GS 450168, 2024 GS 450169, 2024 GS 450170, and warrant number 2026 A45203-00080. Your Honor, those charges include domestic violence in the second degree, originally assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature that was reduced down to assault and battery first degree, 17 counts of possession of a firearm by a person convicted of a violent felony, 3 counts of resisting arrest, open container of beer or alcohol, reckless driving, failure to stop for a blue light, first offense, transporting alcohol in motor vehicle with a seal broken, simple possession of marijuana, window tint violation, driving under suspension, unlawfully placing a child at risk, 2 counts, 2 counts of possession with intent to distribute marijuana, habitual traffic offender, unlawful carrying of a pistol, disregarding a stop sign, distribution of cocaine, second offense, and possession of a stolen pistol. Your Honor, Mr. White is represented by Attorney Virgil Barr of the Williamsburg County Public Defender's Office. This morning, he is pleading guilty to assault and battery in the first degree, failure to stop for a blue light, possession of a firearm by a person convicted of a violent felony, and those charges relate to indictment number 2024 GS 450168, as well as the domestic violence second degree, and that is case number 2024 GS 450005. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a 5-year sentence, active for the assault and battery first degree and possession of a firearm by a person convicted of a violent felony, and 3 years to run concurrent on the failure to stop for a blue light and domestic violence second degree.
All right, thank you, Ms. Alston. Mr. White, today are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol, sir?
No, sir.
Ever have any treatment for any mental health problem?
No, sir.
Okay. Looking at the charges that I've been informed that you're going to plead to, assault and battery in the first degree carries a maximum penalty of 10 years. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And it's my understanding that it's being reduced from assault and battery high and aggravated, which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years. And if they were making you plead to assault and battery high and aggravated, that's an 85% charge. So you're getting a benefit from the reduction in the amount of time that you're facing, and also the amount of time that you'd have to serve before you'd be eligible for parole. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Domestic violence in the second degree carries a maximum penalty of 3 years. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And it is the type of offense that if you were to get another domestic violence charge in the future, this conviction would enhance any future charges. You understand that? So if you get more charges for domestic violence in the future, it just gets worse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. The domestic violence offense also carries a prohibition against owning firearms or ammunition. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The blue light charge carries a maximum penalty of 3 years. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And a conviction for failure to stop for blue light will likely carry with it a negative impact on your driver's license status, whatever it is, and I don't have any control over that. Those determinations are made by the DMV. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And lastly, the weapons charge carries 5 years. And you were originally charged with, what, 17 of those, Ms. Alston?
That's correct, Your
And
Honor.
they're making you plead to 1. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. When you plead guilty, Mr. White, you give up constitutional rights. First, you give up your right to remain silent because you're telling me you're guilty. Next, you give up your right to a jury trial. In a jury trial, the state would have the burden of proving you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to all 12 jurors. In a jury trial, you could question the state's witnesses, you could call witnesses to testify for you, and you could present a defense. You would not have to prove your innocence, you would not have to take a stand. A jury would be told that if you didn't take a stand, they could not hold that against you. But when you plead guilty, you give up all of those trial rights, you waive any defenses that you would have to these charges, and there won't be a trial. You understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Looking at the indictments, we'll start with the domestic violence indictment. That's 2024 GS 450005. That indictment states that you did here in Williamsburg County on or about October 17, 2023, inflict physical harm or injury to a household member or offer or attempt to cause such harm with apparent present ability under circumstances reasonably creating fear of imminent peril. Specifically, you got into a physical altercation with Madison Canty, with whom you have a child in common. And this occurred in the presence of the child in violation of section 162520 of the South Carolina Code of Laws. How do you plead to that charge, sir?
Yes, sir.
You plead guilty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, looking at this next indictment, 2024 GS 450168. Ms. Olson, I'm just going to pick one of the firearm charges since they're all relatively the same. Mr. White, the firearm charges state that you did in Williamsburg County on or about December the 8th of 2023, possess or acquire a firearm after having been convicted of a trafficking offense, which is considered a violent felony in South Carolina in violation of section 162330 of the South Carolina Code. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Okay. All right. Count 15 of the indictments for assault battery first degree. It states that you did here in Williamsburg County on or about December 8, 2023, violate section 163600 of the South Carolina Code, that you did drive your vehicle towards a law enforcement vehicle and attempt to cause a collision while traveling at a speed in excess of 80 miles per hour and great bodily injury to investigator Robert Lee with the King Street PD resulted or could have resulted, and the act was accomplished by means likely to produce death or great bodily injury. How do you plead to assault battery in the first degree?
Yes.
And blue light charge is count 16. It states that on that same day, December 8, 2023, you did, while operating a motor vehicle on a road, street, or highway of the state of South Carolina, did fail to stop that motor vehicle when signaled to do so by a law enforcement vehicle by means of a siren and or a flashing light, in violation of section 565750 of the South Carolina Code. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
All right. The recommendation by the state is that I sentence you to 5 years on the weapons charge and the assault battery in the first degree, and then 3 years on the blue light and 3 years on the domestic violence, and run all of those at the same time and give you credit for whatever time you've done in the Williamsburg County Jail. Is that your understanding of the recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Other than that recommendation, has anybody promised you anything to get you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
Is anybody forcing you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
You pleading freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Satisfied with the services of Mr. Barr?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right, and pleading guilty to these 4 offenses because you are in fact guilty.
Yes, sir.
All right? You have 10 days from today's date to appeal the plea or the sentences. If you wanted to appeal, that appeal would have to be filed in writing with this court. The state is going to give me the facts, and I'll come back to you, Ms. Austin.
And Your Honor, this occurred on December 8th of 2023. Sergeant Gaskins with the King Street Police Department conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle at the area of Wheeler Road and Longstreet Street due to dark in color window tint. Shortly after the defendant stopped his vehicle, he drove off from the traffic stop at a high rate of speed. Sergeant Gaskin pursued the defendant for about 15 miles. The defendant ran off the road multiple times, crossed the center lane multiple times, and often drove into oncoming traffic. The defendant ran multiple drivers off the roadway on Himmelway Highway and near Goffstown Road. During the pursuit, the defendant purposely attempted to strike former Assistant Chief Robert Lee's patrol vehicle and steered his car while trying to hit the car and veered off near Goffstown Road. The defendant got to a dead end near Liberty Drive and exited the vehicle and ran into the woods on foot. There was a passenger in the vehicle at the time, Ms. Carmen Gonzalez. She was able to identify the driver as Mr. Christopher White and stated that she had been begging him to stop the vehicle, and he told her to shut up and that he wasn't going back to jail. The passenger stated that they were on the way to Florence to purchase marijuana. During a search of the vehicle, there was an open bottle of Jose Cuervo, an open can of Michelob Ultra, one spent brass catcher to fit a rifle, one loaded. There was a .22 caliber firearm. There was one small clear bag of green leafy substance. There was a drum-style magazine that was found in the vehicle, a .22 caliber round of ammunition, 14 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition in the driver's seat, one .380 caliber round of ammunition, and one empty Ruger 333 ammunition with a magazine that was found in the vehicle.
And domestic violence.
In regards to domestic violence that occurred on January 17th of 2023, Winsboro County Sheriff Office was summoned to the front parking space in front of the county courthouse on Main Street, which is also in the town limits of King Street, South Carolina. When they arrived on the scene, they made contact with a female subject by the name of Madison Canty. She was sitting on the passenger side of her pickup truck that her father was driving. Several county employees, along with probation and parole, was on the scene. Ms. Canty stated that she was involved in a tussle with Mr. Christopher White, who was her child's father. She stated that there was an argument that ensued between the two because she accused him of cheating. She stated that he was also very jealous and accused her of cheating on him constantly. She stated that while they were at their residence at Jean McCabe Manor, that was located on Senior Road and at the intersection of Greenlee Street, she stated they began fighting each other with these allegations of cheating on each other. And that is when law enforcement noticed that she did have an injury to her eye where it was bloodshot. She stated that during the tussle, it was noted that he scratched her right eye area, causing that injury. And she also informed law enforcement while they were fighting each other, their 2-year-old son was asleep in the next room over. As it relates to his criminal history, in 2007, he had a receiving stolen goods. 2010, the trafficking in cocaine first offense. Also in 2010, a resisting arrest. In 2011, assault and battery first degree, distribution of cocaine first offense, and resisting arrest. 2015, obstructing justice, and 2017, obstructing justice.
All right, Mr. White, the facts that she recited about these two separate incidents, are they substantially correct?
I understand the facts. I understand that those are the facts against me from the state.
Okay. I'm not asking you to agree with everything that they said, but do you agree that there is a substantial factual basis for your guilty plea?
Yes, ma'am.
I find there is a substantial factual basis for the plea. Find that defense decision to plead guilty is freely, voluntarily, and intelligently made. He's had the advice and counsel. Whom he satisfied that I'll accept the plea. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. White, I've had the privilege of representing Mr. White for about 2 years now, Your Honor. He's 41 years of age. He's from the Williamsburg County area. Judge, he's extremely extremely intelligent young man. I think under different circumstances, he could be standing where I'm at, but life is kind of taking some twists and turns. Judge, we thank the state for the offer that's been made. We believe it's a fair offer. We believe that it allows some of those other charges that Mr. White had some disagreements with and had a meritorious defense. Those have been subsequently dealt with. And so what we're asking for, Your Honor, is credit for the time that's been served, which we have that. And I believe the state recited about 687 days. Mr. White does have small children that he desires to get back to. He's pretty much been detained since this happened. He was came before the court, I believe on several occasions to try to get a bond. He was not able to get a bond. So he was able to finally get a bond, and then unfortunately met with some unlucky circumstances. So he's been pretty much detained, Judge, since this incident. And so we're asking for credit for the time that he served. We are asking for the court to just consider a just 3-year sentence, just based on the fact that the time served that's already been in place. But we understand the state's recommendation, and if the court does see fit to follow that recommendation, Mr. White has agreed to it and understands exactly where he would be. But we are just grateful that the case is resolved, Judge. And as I said before, Mr. White has been pretty upfront about everything in his culpability in this matter. I do find him to be very credible, and we just ask for the time served, and the court would consider, say, a 3-year sentence on all.
All right, Mr. White, anything you want to say, sir?
I just appreciate if you really get this over with so I can get back to, like you say, my little children, my small kids, older kids, that I would like to be in their life, you know what I'm saying? And just get back to getting back to life, man.
I understand. I understand the way you feel. I think it's certainly only natural for anybody who's standing where you are to when they're taking responsibility for their actions, to want to serve whatever sentences to come, get it behind them, and get back to living hopefully a life that doesn't put you back in back in this position again.
That's over with.
One thing I can tell you, Mr. White,
That's over
with your record, and this isn't changing my sentence or anything. I just want to make sure you understand. I'm sure Mr. Barr has explained this to you, but your record prohibits you from possessing firearms, and that's when you get out and get the sentence behind you. If you are found to be in possession of a firearm, that's going to be a ticket back to the Department of Corrections, because I mean it just can't happen, and you know, it's in the news every day that you know, the presence of firearms takes situations and makes them, you know, it creates the likelihood that something bad could happen, and that's why the law prohibits firearm possession by people who have records. And you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to preach to you. I just want you to understand that once you get all this behind you and you get out, if you're found to be in possession of a weapon, you're going to get arrested, and the state's not going to be able to they're not going to be able to be lenient on these situations. So that's just kind of food for thought as you get this behind you. I think given everything's been presented, given the time that he's served, the recommendation is appropriate, and I'm going to follow it. On the weapons and the assault and battery first, sentences 5, and the other two, the sentences 3, they'll all run concurrent. He's given credit for 687 days. So, Mr. White, when you get this sentence behind you, you know, remember these words and all that you've heard. But I do want to let you know, in reaching the deal that's been made, your lawyer's done you a real good job on this situation, because with all of these weapons, and this is not finding fault with the state, but you know, all things considered, I didn't count up the number of years you were facing if it was all stacked on top of each other, but I mean, 17 times 5 is 85. So your exposure was cut considerably by the efforts of Mr. Barr. So good luck to you, Mr. White.
Thank you, sir.